Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Dads Discuss podcast, the podcast where a few dads document their journey through fatherhood, a place where we will discuss every topic under the sun and tie it back to how it has helped us grow as parents. This is episode 1, where we let you know who we are and where we come from, and our hopes for the future of this podcast. My name is Stephen Dowd, and I'm here with
PJ Giordano. Great to be here.
Yeah. Well, so how's it going, PJ?
It's going good. I'm glad we're getting this off and rolling. Hope everyone enjoys our time as we kind of BS our way through fatherhood. Just kidding.
Yeah, so the topic today, first episode, it's always about, what is parenting to us and being dads and stuff. So I have, you guys can't see it, but I have a whiteboard written of all the words associated with being a dad.
But I wish you could see it because looking at Steven's lettering and writing skills is very entertaining.
So I jotted down all the things I could think of, politician, real estate, manager, medical, builder. Everybody's got to have carpentry skills if you're going to be a dad, right? First responder, finance, cleaning, tech department, fitness, coaching soccer teams.
And these were all just something written down on that whiteboard, but as you know, anyone who is a parent, it's a never-ending list and it's always changing.
Yeah, you got to be multifaceted. You can't just become a technical expert like we are engineers these days and 100% dive into a subject and bury your head in the sand. You got to open your eyes and you got to know what's going on in the world too. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. It's all on you.
This is very true. And Stephen brought up a good point. So this is the first episode. He mentioned engineers. Both of us are engineers. Ended up going to school together here in Huntsville, Alabama, which is where we're currently recording. Thank you. But we're graduated class of 2012. So we've now been out of school for a little over 10 years, but father figures for about 4 now.
3.5. Almost 4, yeah. This May, it'll be 4 for me.
This is true.
And you, because the kids are about the same age.
This is very true. So about myself, I ended up marrying a wonderful woman who had 2 kids previous to me meeting her. So I am a stepfather to 2 wonderful boys, and then had our youngest daughter, which is my biological child, Luna, about 3.5 years ago.
Yep, and that's when I came in and said, I'm also having a child. So we had our little one, Anna back in May of 2020. We were both had COVID kids, so that was fun.
Yes.
And then we had a second one, little Marilee, not too long ago, November 2022. Yeah, wow. What early childhood for me, early parenting for me, but you've got those older kids, so you got a mix of parenting the young and the old already.
Yeah, and it's an interesting concept when I really think about it, because the parenting style, if you will, does differ, as the kids age, and so I'm having to constantly go back and forth. Like, I'm certainly not going to talk to my teenager the same way I talk to my 3-year-old.
Right. I mean, sometimes.
Sometimes you want
to. So what topic are you lacking in and want some growth from this podcast in? Because that's kind of my whole, just to give you a little background on why I want this podcast to exist, is because all these areas that we're worried about, you can get lost in the weeds and, stagnate and stress out and want to cry as a parent.
I agree, and that's why I'm looking at this list that you've made here, Stephen, and the word planner popped up, and I think that kind of fits exactly what you were talking about. I know myself, I do try and plan things out, but also when you are a parent, sometimes you just have to wing it, as you said. So maybe we can discuss planning and how we try and go about forming our fatherhood, our families, everything like that.
Oh, yeah. That's a good point. Planning. Let's see. We optimize using Google Calendar, and we have a lot of short-term and long-term goals in mind. And so planning family is, one day want 3 kids. How do we get there? What's it look like now? how do we structure our life around, successfully having 3 kids? What does the house look like? What do the vehicles look like? What do the finances look like? And then it all boils. It goes along with the book I read called The One Thing. And so you project out what you want and what is that one thing, and then you boil it down to what's the one thing I can do today to make that one thing successful. What's the one thing I can do this week that'll make that successful? What's the one thing I can do this month that'll make that successful?
So kind of like taking a look at the final goal or the big picture and breaking it up into manageable chunks, if you will.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah, it's a good time.
Okay.
It's hard to do when you're lost in the minutia of just executing on the day-to-day. So sometimes you gotta have a moment to think about it, not just surviving.
Very true. Yeah. And you mentioned about having that moment. I know something that helps me kind of stay grounded and also plan out, events like, whose family are we going to go see for this holiday? What are we going to do about this upcoming school year, parent-teacher conferences? Just having a time to sit down without my children, just me and my wife, and just be able to talk, relax, maybe have a drink. That can certainly help me focus on planning out, the next steps of our life.
Yeah. Do you guys do that on a regular basis, or is it something you have to say everybody stop, we're piecing out, it's time sort of thing?
I would say we don't plan it as we should, but we get more of those opportunities than I originally expected, and it's almost always at night. Once we've finally gotten the kids down, we go into our room, maybe hear this sound right here, and just kind of focus on us, talk about the family, and get things straightened out. Which, by the way, did want to mention to anyone who is listening who is also a fan of adult beverages, currently drinking a cream ale, one of my favorites from my college days, out of a brewery called Rocket Republic here in Huntsville, Alabama.
Hashtag not sponsored.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Shameless plug.
I've already been enjoying a Guinness, so that's they don't need any advertising, that's for sure.
But I like your Google Calendar idea. I almost always, if there's an event a month or two, or even 3-4 months down the road, I put it into my calendar of my phone. That does help keep track of things, especially when yourself and a lot of our friends have young children. A lot of birthday parties, a lot of family events, just trying to keep everything on track. Having something written down to help you remember what's going on is extremely beneficial.
Yeah, it gets to the point where if it's not on the calendar, we may forget it.
I completely agree.
So as soon as we hear about something, even if there's a conflict that day, we still put it on the calendar, and then when it approaches, we're like, all right, what are we doing?
Yep, that's a good idea. Is that a calendar that you and Catherine have shared together and you can look at it?
Yeah, so we made ourselves personal calendars, and we shared our personal calendars so we can edit them, and the other person can't accidentally delete the other person's sort of thing.
I like that.
But you can set it up to where you have one shared and both can edit, but we found it easier this way because her stuff shows up in blue, so she can put her work stuff and her volunteer stuff in there, and then I know it's her event, and I put mine's in orange, and so I can...
Was that a personal choice, Stephen, or did you just get stuck with orange by default?
Google assigned it by default, and that's the way it is sometimes.
All right. That brings up something that I did want to mention as well. One of the biggest parts about planning is communication, and the fact that you have that communication, it's open. There's not one person dictating what's happening. That makes, to me, being a parent so much more enjoyable. Is there's not just one person trying to organize and plan everything. We do it together as a team.
True. Yeah, that's I wouldn't necessarily say we discuss every little thing until sometimes last minute, but I mean the big stuff, sure, but not the day-to-day. Sometimes it's like, hey, we're doing this tomorrow, and I'm like, what? Look at the calendar. Oh, missed it.
Well, that sounded like it was there. You just didn't notice.
Yeah, that's fair. But the other thing we do is we love traveling. I think everybody knows that about our family, and the magical time is when the kids fall asleep and we just talk about, that's almost when our life planning occurs. We're like,
Very
okay,
true.
we got a 3-hour drive. We're going to flesh out all our strategic planning right now. Because obviously when we get to the location, we never relax and talk about it. It's always go, go, go. And we only have so much time here to
Squeezing as much fun as possible.
yeah, squeeze it in. So this talk in the car where everybody's trapped and you got nothing else to do.
I definitely understand that. And that's good because sometimes it is all too easy to not have those conversations when the kids are around. There's just so many other responsibilities. You've got, food to cook. You've got events to go to, revolving school and daycare. It's needed to have that time just to sit down and kind of like discuss what's going on.
Yeah, and that's another one I forgot on the list. There's no chef. Everybody needs to be a chef.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Although at the bottom I do have all knowledge, so
And all
you have to
capital
know
letters
everything.
too.
Yeah, because you obviously you have older kids, so you never know what your kid's gonna grow up and have an interest in. So you gotta get involved and understand what they like, and it may be something completely different than what you're into, so it's harder.
This is very true. I know our middle one, whose name is Noah, has really gotten into guitar. Myself and I know Steven, we were both in wind ensemble and pep bands, but I never got into an instrument like that. And watching him grow as he self-teaches himself is really interesting to me. But I have been learning a lot more about it myself so that I can be there to support him.
Yeah. Ask him to play all the chords that are the most difficult so that he can sit there and squirm.
Not quite, but it is really cool to watch him grow up and get into the same type of music that me and you were into when we were at that age. And even still now, I've had the opportunity to take him to a couple concerts, and seeing him get into that style of music is something I'm really, really excited about.
That's awesome. We don't have older kids yet, but 3.5, almost 4. I think she's almost ready to start learning the piano because we got that piano and she loves banging on it. But I'm not so good at teaching it because I can sit there and play it myself with the keys in front of me, but I'm like, I don't even know what I'm really doing. So we're gonna find someone to teach.
That's exciting.
Yeah, but maybe we'll learn together a little bit and then we'll hire somebody.
That's the plan, and then you can play along with her.
Yeah.
I like it.
So that'd be good. That's kind of what we're doing with swimming anyways. She's learning, and then we'll get in the pool in the summer, and I'll have her teach me how to swim because I know survival swim, and that's about it.
Well, just another thing to plan out, right? I like it.
Yeah. Yeah, we got that pool membership in the neighborhood. No need to maintain it in the backyard. A lot more fun that way, too. Get to meet other people.
We, something, excuse me, something I never wanted to have is a pool that I had to maintain. I can only imagine the amount of extra responsibilities that I would have on top of my life if I had to sit there and do that.
There's already enough, right? But yeah, one of the other ones, probably the most challenging area for me going forward in this podcast is, I don't know, like de-stressing, being or maybe joyful in the moment sort of thing.
I understand.
That's tough for me because I do get bogged down in that minutia and planning, and especially the financial aspects of the household that can really distract me sometimes. And there's been multiple times I've caught myself being distracted by the world's technologies like social media or
all too easy.
Trying to hang out with friends too much and things. But not to say that I'm an absent father or anything, but more in the fact that I'm doing a great job and then I glide into those things and you see it and then you're like, no, step back. So I've kept myself from it being like a bad thing, but it's definitely something I'd love to talk about and work with. And I mostly want to talk about all the hot topic things. But yeah, hopefully week to week we'll have, multiple hot button items or single hot button items that we can talk about, really dig into we're by no means experts in any of these fields. I think the only thing I'm an expert in is software or in managing people.
Oh, well, I'm glad
So
that you're an expert in something. I consider myself an expert in nothing. So. All that to say, those of you listening are interested in hearing us discuss a topic or even have a story yourself you'd like to, please feel free to reach out.
yeah, and the more the topics, the merrier, because I know I have a few in mind, but, there's limitless potential to things to talk about, and we're only two people, so we'll may or may not run out of ideas. We may run into parenting Reddit and go see what crazy stuff's going on in there and
crazy
what other
being the
ideas are
exact
happening.
word, because every time I stumble upon there, I just sometimes have to scratch my head.
Reddit's great, man. It's
It
the
is.
news of the internet. It's got such a good I mean, it can be toxic and but that's about anything these days. But I think it's still I wish all social media kind of borrowed the upvote concept of because it makes me feel like I know I'm looking at something that's worth my time if it's been upvoted so much.
That's a very good point. Think about that.
All the other ones are like hidden algorithms in the background.
Yeah,
that are
like we're only
trying
going to show you what we want you to see.
But if you're like, that has some people like that 10,000 upvoted thing, maybe it's worth checking out.
Yeah, and that's another topic of discussion is, at what age do you start involving your kids in those types of technologies?
That's a spicy one.
Very, very hot button issue. We'll definitely deep dive into that. Television, entertainment, there's a lot to get involved with. There's also a lot that, as a parent, you also feel like this is something that I definitely have to monitor.
Yeah, we attempted to on the second one, but the first one we succeeded on like minimal to no screen time until 1.
Okay.
And then I have no idea where to go there, so that's a good topic to have.
All right.
There's TV in the household, there's tablets, there's computers, they use it on and off. I still don't know. I don't think anybody really knows the safe limit or what's correct there. It's just like flying by the seat of your pants.
It's such a new concept, and if we haven't mentioned this yet, we did mention what year me and Steven graduated, but both of us definitely are old enough to remember a time before the internet, but also we're heavily involved in its usage. So now having children who have never known a time without social media, without some type of constant streaming if they so choose. Yeah. It's interesting. Right. And it's certainly new territory for all parents.
That's true. Yeah. Well, that's another thing. We've got historian written up there because every era of parenting has its challenges, right? And ours is, I think, like you said, the internet. It's one of those new things that there was no lessons learned passed down. There's no parents above us that really can tell you too much.
This is very true.
Our parents a little bit, but like I don't know what your household was like. We kind of dominated and ran circles around our parents when it came to technology.
Yeah. I remember I built a computer when I was in late middle school, and that's only because I had a huge, profound interest in it. But it was a near foreign concept to my parents.
And then you hop on the computer and log into the router and block ports so people can't use certain devices, and parents have no idea how to fix it.
And I can already see that aspect with my kids who are so used to using tablets and touch screens and that type of operating software. I can still do it, but I do feel like I can see them surpassing me quite easily.
Which is what you want. You want them to be better than you, right? But it's also like scary that, especially being a tech-minded person, it's scary that they can figure it out before me. But
very true.
Their minds are a lot more malleable than mine at this point.
You're saying you don't have a malleable mind?
Nah. Well, I mean, that is why we have the podcast, right? Therefore, we can have a topic on some new technology so we can work together and figure out how it works.
Yes.
And hopefully one day have some guests on. People come and talk to us about opinions that matter to them in their personal parenting life. That would be fun.
Very true.
Open invite, right?
Open. I think this is going to be a very that's not even a word, excuse me, free-flowing style of podcast. Me and Stephen have known each other for years and years, but we're always wanting to meet new individuals, hear everyone's stories. Keep it loose. This isn't going to be something too rigid, even when we get into these hot button issues.
Yeah. Bring in a separate opinion too, right? Because the two of us, as long as we've known each other, agree on a lot of things. So
That is true.
coming in with a third party to observe the world with us should be fun.
Yep.
We'll have to get another microphone, but we'll figure that out.
Technology.
I've got the mixer for it.
There we go.
But yeah, that'll be fun. What else we got in store for the podcast? What other hopes and dreams do you have?
Well, I know some of these other items we've written down on our all-encompassing, or not all-encompassing.
We've already found that out. Yeah.
Not all-encompassing whiteboard. First responder and medical and fitness. I know anyone of you who have children know that can be a very, very important aspect. How do we keep the kids safe? But not only how do we keep them safe, if there is issues, how can we deal with them? The medical responsibility. Can you fix someone who has scraped their knee on the difference between a rug and I'm falling down the stairs?
Yeah.
There are a lot of things to cover when we come to that topic.
When to go to the hospital and when not. It'd be really fun. He's not. Well, I wouldn't say my brother-in-law. He's not a parent yet, but it'd be fun to have him on since he's about to wrap up med school. Or, my mother-in-law who's a nurse. That'd be some fun opinions to have on child development.
Very true. My brother-in-law actually is a nurse in the ER of the pediatric area.
Oh, well, there you go.
I may have to ask him if he'd be available.
Yeah, it'd be fun. Just spitballing some ideas. And then we can talk about anything with him.
Very true.
Ask questions. I'd have to prepare for that talk, that's for sure, because I'd have to line up all the topics that we want to discuss.
And the more and more I learn about the world, the more and more I realize how little I know. And the medical field is something I know very little about.
But you got to now.
You do.
You got 3 kids.
Very true. All with different types of needs and wants and medical histories. It's very, very big topic.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, the other super massive topic is faith. So that's going to be, I don't know, we could have, that opens the door to a lot of things, that's for sure.
It really does. And just for our listeners' knowledge, I am a practicing Catholic, or as practicing as I can be with 3 children.
You get to church 30 minutes late. It's okay.
Yeah, you're still there.
You made it.
The topic of faith will certainly be something that will be a good one to discuss, but also, at least in my life, and I believe in Stephen's as well, is something that kind of just goes along with your day-to-day parenting. Mm-hmm. You have that knowledge and that insight into something that kind of like guides you. Excuse me. So it's not something that just is there. You actively are using it while you're doing your parenting.
Helps you keep you grounded and gives you something to meditate on.
Very true.
And guide your children too. It's one of those top 2 things that I think helped guide my morals was religion and Boy Scouts.
All right.
Just because those were hand in hand in our household, and religion, obviously they want you to be a moral person and have good beliefs and treat each other with kindness, and then Boy Scouts teaches you an array of skills and all the Boy Scout motto to trustworthy, hopeful. Oh my gosh, I was gonna lead off with it. I can do it, trust me. Just the trustworthy, helpful, friendly, courteous, kind, cheerful, thrifty, brave, clean, and reverent motto. So
I did not realize that. I knew that you were a scout, but I did not know their creed.
Yeah, they had that, and then the other one I don't remember because it wasn't just words, or just obviously it was just words, but it wasn't like the key words. There was the oath. That one's so long past. The easy key off words are so much easier than the phrases.
Very true.
They don't stick in your head.
Those types of organizations, I'm excited to see what our children get into, what their likes and interests are. There are just so many available. The scouting, you have drama clubs, you have band, and just any type. It's fun to see our children grow up knowing, their parents' interests, and then see them develop their own independently.
Yeah, that's definitely starting to get some of that. That's for sure. 3.5, right? It's been interesting. I think this year, 3 to 4 has been the most interesting about watching an independent mind evolve.
Absolutely.
You've hung around our oldest a lot now, and she's all about hanging out with people, right?
Yep.
And just started this year, she's like, I need my alone time. And it's
Really?
boggled my mind. I don't know what to do with it. I'm like, I guess so, if you have to.
Oh, wow. Attitude, just like they are their own little human. It's crazy.
Yeah, and does not make me excited for when they're teenagers and
not at all
out of the house. But it will be nice to open up some of my own time, I guess. But it'll also be sad.
It's interesting because my youngest, I would say, tends to have the opposite reaction. Right now, she is very heavily dependent on wanting to be near me or her mother at all times, and occasionally we'll tell her, "You have toys. Why don't you just sit here and play with these toys? We're going to be right here over in the kitchen." Nope. She's got to help us cook. We got to help us do the dishes. She wants to be near us all the time.
That's good though. Get them doing chores.
Oh yeah, of course.
A little bit. It's when they want to be near you only to play is when it starts to be challenging, because then you can't always stop what you're doing and play. That's what I struggle with too.
Struggle with the playing part? Or?
No, having time to play. Because I'm like, I would love to, but this has to get done. And you're like, but I want that special moment with her,
Very
she's
true.
asking for it.
Yeah.
And maybe that's why she started wanting alone time a little bit. I don't know. There's a lot of things you can read into parenting, right?
There is, and you certainly don't want to overthink it. It's one of the most important things that we can do is raise up our children to be upstanding citizens and show the love that we have for them, that they spread that to the rest of the world. But you also don't want to smother is not the right word, or maybe it is, but overbearing.
Don't want to do everything for them.
Exactly. And at the age that our children are at, I certainly see them coming into themselves. They have their own mindsets now. They have their own understanding, even at such a young age, of how certain aspects of the world work. And it's just really neat to see that coming through and them making decisions based on their own thoughts and not just what you are telling them they have to do.
Yeah. Man, so many topics.
This is going to be
fun.
I hope we didn't overwhelm anyone. I know I'm already getting the
We're definitely going to have to, so everyone knows, we'll have, clear-cut topics for each week after this, and it's going to be focusing on that area and trying not to do too many tangents, but everybody loves a good tangent, right?
Absolutely.
We'll tell stories, we'll tell jokes, we'll laugh it up, and we'll cry a little, and it should be pretty fun. At least I'll cry a little. I wear my emotions on my sleeve, so if I get worked up, I apologize.
If you wear your emotions on your sleeve, just take your shirt off.
Okay, no one can see it, PJ.
Oh, that's right.
I also don't have a six-pack right now. We'll get into fitness later.
But now, welcome everyone again to the Dads Discuss podcast, and we really hope this is something that you come to enjoy.
Yeah, I hope we get a chance to document our journey. If no one's listening, it's fine. We'll record for 10 years and see what our thoughts are today versus 10 years from now.
Works for me.
All right.
Well, thank you again.
See you next time. Thanks for listening to Dads Discuss.
Please like and subscribe wherever you are listening.
Also, comment any topics you would like us to discuss and share this with your friends and family.
Finally, if you would like to be on the podcast or discuss any topics, please reach out via our contact information below.